Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. We have the pleasure of sitting down with nose tackle Michael Pierce, fresh off a 2-year extension. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, brother.
So how do you celebrate? After the game, you signed it, one day before the game, right?
Yep.
How do you celebrate it? Is there time to celebrate at the end of the season when you sign an extension like that?
Yeah, so we waited until after the game, obviously.
Yep.
My wife had like some balloons, a little cake, a nice card, and a bottle of Ace of Spade.
Okay.
So that was my first time trying that.
Yeah? How was you're talking to a very cheap man.
Honest review, I didn't think it was all that.
Oh, all right.
Personally,
Okay.
I'm not a champagne dude, though.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the bottle was cool,
Right.
and I kept the little case. So.
And it was New Year's Eve, so it made sense.
Yeah, it all worked out.
That's a perfect way to celebrate. Just what were the emotions of that? I mean, I thought it was, you talked about it a little bit after the game, but I was certainly happy for you, and knowing it's been, the last few years have kind of been up and down and trying to stay healthy, and to get that reward right before the end of the regular season, what did it mean to you?
It was almost a tearful moment, honestly. Especially, with the past 2 years, like you mentioned, just fighting to, make myself ready to play a season, just proving to not only our organization but the rest of the league, like I can still play, I can be healthy, I can do what I need to do to be one of the best nose guards in the league. It was awesome. I didn't know that an extension would be possible after all the injuries and all that stuff. So when I took my pay cut, I knew that it was a 1-year deal type thing. So it was just about putting this year together, being the best teammate I can, and all that stuff. And like I said, thankfully they wanted me back, and I got to prove that I am who I felt like I was.
I feel like the last time that we talked to you when you signed back here, you kind of said, this is probably my last deal. Did you definitely feel did you feel like you were just playing out that contract and that was probably the end?
Yeah. So I explained this in the hallway. When I got hurt, we knocked some years off the deal. So that was going to take me to year 9 or 10, and this deal will still do the same. So, man, I think I still have, years to give. Good football to give, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be signing this. But I'm grateful mostly just to have the belief in Mr. DeCosta, coach, and all my teammates. So, man, I definitely intend on that being my final deal. But, God has some funny ways. So, man, I definitely laughed about that in the hall. And like I said, I'm grateful that I do get to finish my career here.
How do you think that you've stayed so healthy this year? What have you done behind the scenes that fans don't know about that's enabled you to do that?
So I hired a nutrition coach. Obviously, I worked with Sarah as well. But just to make sure, my off seasons are structured, all that stuff. Garrett Trumer, who helped in conjunction with our staff downstairs with my rehab and all that stuff when I was back home in Birmingham, did an amazing job with me, and came to OTAs early and just grinded my way through it. Hired a masseuse, extra, all this, just basically everything that I normally do, I did it to the fullest extent. So, just paying attention to my body, taking care of my body, just searching for any and everything, took up yoga, all that kind of stuff just to make sure, my joints are good, my muscles are flexible, all that stuff. So just trying to prolong my career knowing that, like I said, I told my wife if I had a career in the injury this year, not a career, injury this year that required surgery or anything, I would hang it up. So just having that mindfulness and just, trying to prepare myself as much as I can.
Yeah, I know that when Calais Campbell was here, he talked about basically budgeting, I forget exactly how much, like $300,000, like a big number, in terms of self-care, massage, nutrition, all of that stuff. When you get into the later stages of your career, did you kind of go through that process this offseason of saying, like, all right, I need to set some money aside basically to invest in myself, to aside that I can ensure that I can play here, and that you make that money back as we're seeing.
He took the pay cut though, so he's like, I got a pay cut now, I got to pay extra.
right. Play for free this year.
No. I don't think I spent $300,000. Like I said, he is in a different lane than I am financially. But man, I definitely wanted to leave no stone unturned, no matter the dollar amount or whatever. So I'd probably say I've probably spent maybe 50 or 60.
Okay.
Not nothing crazy, but No, like I said, yoga is not expensive. All that kind of stuff is relatively inexpensive. But people fly people out and do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like I said, for me, it was paying a nutrition coach and all that stuff. I don't want to get into the financials, if you will. But, no, I definitely stayed under $100,000.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
No, it was just about working and just being more mindful. And I said, just using everything that's at my, that's at my fingertips here and then back at home.
Now, you've always been, like, I'm curious, like, you've been a really good player when you've been healthy. And the injuries the past few years have really just been the only thing that has kind of held you back. Like last year, the start of the year is like, man, Mike's playing great ball and you're a force on the defense. But for you, as you were dealing with the injuries and being sidelined, like, did you doubt? Like, did you question whether, like, man, can I still do this? Are the injuries just going to keep up? Like, what was the mindset that you had in dealing with that?
So I would say at times you definitely wonder if you can still do it. When you're out there, you don't feel it as much. But when you spend that time away, so I think I got hurt like week 5 or so last year. Whenever we played the Patriots, so in December you're watching games. You're like, dang, I think I should be able to make that play when I get back. And then OTAs come around. You're like, dang, I haven't taken a snap in 5 months. So you get that little anxiety. But like I said, for me, when I put my feet in that grass, and it's a different feel. So, like I said, I feel like I've accumulated enough knowledge of the game to understand scheme and all that stuff. But it's just about, at that point, it's just about, is my body gonna hold up for however long it needs to. So, those things just handled in the weight room and all that kind of stuff. But when the product is on the field, when it's time to blow the whistle, I feel like I can handle my business.
Now, Mike, you are our dog of the week for the Cardinals game. You were dominant that game. I'm just curious how much that game kind of played into, like, all right, I'm back. Like, you were just whooping on people that game. What did that game do for you?
A lot. I think I played well up until that point. Obviously didn't have the best record, if you will. But, no, man, it's just one of those days, like, where you feel like you just, like, in a zone, if you will. Like, if you, like, you're just floating on top of stuff. It's a strange little feeling. But, no, it's just one of those days, everything's clicking. The tips and all that stuff that we learned, it was just coming to fruition. But, no, man, I think that was a big statement for me that, not only for myself, but for, like, our team and, I guess the GMs and all that stuff. Like, I can dominate a game in different ways. I ended up with a sack. That was my only one. I missed one against Miami. He threw the ball away. 2-0. But,
thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. But, no, man, that was big for me just to have that under my belt and then just go forward just saying, all right, we can make plays and different plays in different ways. So, I was glad to have it under my belt and then just give everybody that confidence in me as well.
I'm curious for you, like, what you do as a nose tackle, it's dirty work. Like, you're never going to be a 15 sack guy. Like, that's just not your game, but when I look at the defense and I look around you, a lot of the guys who are in close proximity to you are playing great ball. Justin Madubuike, of course, has had a double-digit sack season and has a big payday coming his way. You have Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen behind you, who
Travis
are both
Jones has been playing really well.
But, like, you have these 3 Pro Bowlers right around you, right? Indeed. And I think that you have a lot to do with their success. They're great players in their own right, but I think that you have a lot to do with their success. How much pride do you take in seeing those guys around you play to that level?
So that goes back to when I first got here. Wink and Brandon Williams sat me down and said, once I made the team, you're our backup nose guard. But first and foremost, if your Mike linebacker goes to the Pro Bowl, you did what you were supposed to do. So,
what if two go to the Pro Bowl?
That's even better. I don't think I don't think we had that. Matter of fact, we may have with Zach and CJ. But
maybe.
I think we did. Yeah. Zach was an All-Pro that year, so I'm sure he made the Pro Bowl. But no, man. So that's kind of how it started with me, and then I followed Brandon's lead, obviously, and then like for me, man, I'm a country boy from Alabama. I don't care for all the lights and the fame and all that stuff. But to see myself helping those guys, and they get to shine in that kind of way is awesome. So, like I said, I take pride in my job. I enjoy, beating up on guys and, holding up blocks and all that stuff and doing the dirty work. That's just goes with the gig of nose guard. But to see Beeks play the way he's playing, to have Rowe play the way he's playing at PQ, be a first-time Pro Bowler, it's certainly awesome.
It is cool, though, to see how your role has kind of evolved this year in Mike's defense. I mean, sometimes you're looping around to get a run at the quarterback. Sometimes you're dropping in coverage. There are some big plays when you dropped in coverage, and, you would have had a PBU. That quarterback pulled the ball down because he saw Big Mike out there in coverage. He said, nah.
Roam in the middle of the field, center fielder out there.
I am not testing that free safety.
Hey, man, I think they want to keep those receivers from getting bent up. So,
Probably true. Can you just talk about the role that Mike has put you in and how his defense does you? So many guys have very diverse roles, and what that does for you as a player.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So you don't only have to, feel like you're one-dimensional. So Mike does a great job of accentuating all our talents at different plays, so in different ways. So, man, I played linebacker in high school. I still had the, the hips-ish for it. So, I've been able to understand coverages pretty well and all that stuff where I need to be. So, he's done an amazing job just accentuating not only myself but putting everybody, like using Kyle. Like we use Kyle like most teams don't have a guy like that, but they also they're not able to use those guys in those different roles. So he does a great job of marrying, our talents. They doesn't make anybody one-dimensional. He's allowing everybody to do some different things. And, thankfully I've been able to, eliminate some passes. I ain't got my hands on one, so hopefully I can do that. But, no, man, it's been awesome to have him trust me and trust our guys to do different things and make some plays when they count.
Just talking about Mike real quick as a side note, as a defender on his defense, when you see him getting head coaching interviews elsewhere, what goes through your mind?
That means you're doing your job. Selfishly, now, especially know that I'm coming back next year, you kind of get nervous to see, like, is he going to leave?
Right.
Who they going to bring in? Or they going to promote somebody?
Right.
But
if they call you for a reference, you're like, nah, Mike, nah.
Nah, not the greatest of guys. You might just want to leave him here. But no, man, I think as, being in the league for 8 years, you see successful teams get coaches poached.
Right.
That's just how it goes. But so you're always happy for any of the guys. Like I was here when Mike was a linebackers coach. So to see how he moved from Michigan and DC there to DC here in the league has been awesome. But you always root for your guys. And, unfortunately, that's a part of it. But if he stays, I won't be mad. If he goes, we just have a little anxiety to see who's next. But, no, man, he's done an amazing job, and he deserves all the interviews and all success.
One thing I've really enjoyed watching this year is your relationship with Brent Urban. You are both guys who – you're veteran players. You started your careers here. You left. You came back. But the two of you are always together. And for anybody that's watched episodes of Ravens Wired, which I'm sure many of our fans watching here have, the two of you basically providing commentary when the offense is on the field is one of my favorite parts of Wired every single week. You sit next to each other,
right?
Yeah, that's the fun bunch, right? Like you sit next to each other on the bench and you provide this excellent commentary. But what is that relationship like with Brent? Because I got to believe it's kind of special.
Yeah, no. He's probably, out of everybody I play with in the league, that's probably one of my closest friends. Talk to him in the offseason, all that kind of stuff. But even before this happened, like we used to sit next to each other like my second, third year and my rookie year. So, at that point, we were still figuring things out to where we couldn't just sit back and enjoy or, we worried about, I need to do this, do that for the next drive. But as we gotten older, we've gotten to a place where he's battled through injury as well. So you kind of just sit there and, enjoy the game more so because this is – at some point this is going to end sooner than later. You know what I mean? So, just to not only play well on defense but be able to watch a Lamar do some crazy stuff or Odell or just enjoy the game versus, sitting there tense and, all tight. I think this helps not only me and him play well, but the guys around us. Just to see people laughing and having a good time and just enjoying being out there on Sunday as well as playing well, I think that does a lot for our room.
I like also, the NFL is just such a locker room, such an interesting place. You have people from different walks of life. You're a country boy from down south. Here he is, a big old tall Canadian, right? And you're the fun bunch. You know, just what is it about personality wise that makes you two click so much? And can you said Weave gave you the fun bunch name? Can you give us a little background there?
Yeah, so I think we just started laughing so much like during OTAs and the meetings. I think he was just like, these dudes just don't stop laughing. But, you know, like I said, normally if you got people who laugh all the time, they probably not as locked in as they should be. But I think as he got to, you know, learn our personalities and just see that, you know, we just enjoy work. You know, we want to make work a fun environment. He does a great job with that. Like I said, it's just it just works, man. Like I said, his wife and my wife are really cool. Nice. So, man, it's just a dynamic that works. It's probably more unlikely, obviously, a Canadian and a African American dude from Alabama. But you know, football does bring a lot of people together in different ways. So, man, it's been awesome. Like I said, hopefully we can have Herb back. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, that wasn't a clause in the extension. We got to bring Herb back too.
It was
package deal.
But man, it's been an awesome year. Like I said, I've been cool with him since my rookie year. So we kind of sat together all the time. But it's been a fun ride.
So now talking about this team in the playoffs, obviously, you know, there's been a lot of chatter about 2019 and how that season ended and how that's motivating this team now. What do you see as the differences between the 2019 team and 2023 team when it comes to handling this stage that you're about to step onto?
I think it was just new.
Yeah.
We had not had, well, especially not in my time, we had not had that amount of success. And we were just rolling teams over, especially towards the end, kind of like now.
Yeah.
But we just started so slow in that game against the Titans. I don't know why it just happened that way. But I think that for the people who were here, obviously Harbs was here and everybody, but the few guys who were here at that time, that never just that feel of defeat afterward. I ain't really go anywhere for like 3 days, just in shock. I had ordered a suit for the dang Super Bowl. I know we had to play like Patrick Mahomes before that.
Right.
You know, they ended up winning, I think, that year. But in preparation, like I think we just looked so far ahead. Like there's nobody that's gonna beat us. If we are who we are, we're gonna make it there type deal. So a lot of people were doing like stuff like that. So this year we're focused on one day at a time, obviously one game at a time, just knowing that, it could be over like that. Right. So we're just putting all our energy into next Sunday or Saturday. I don't even know what day.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Exactly. So whatever day that is, we're going to be there ready to fight each and every down. So there's no looking ahead. There's no worrying about the Super Bowl at this point. It's literally, you got to take this one game at a time because, the wrong player, the wrong, game plan, the wrong day that a majority of our team is off. That's it.
Right. So. Is that something that you need to set? Like Lamar is really he's talked about that very openly all year long. Stay locked in. Like he says that pretty much in every interview that he does. And you're a veteran player who, is a tone setter in your own right as well. Is that stuff like things that you need to say to other teammates? Is it kind of understood? It's more unspoken and you just know what it is? Mm-hmm. How do you approach that?
Well, I think we have just a great group of not only young guys but vets. So I don't think, we may have a couple guys who won a Super Bowl. I know Odell did. I know Calvin Noyes won 2, Bennett 3. I think Nelly won. Did he?
Yeah, he won with the Eagles.
Yeah, he won with the Eagles. So they've been to that pinnacle, and they know just how important each and every day up until that point is. So, I think a lot of vets who have played like Morgan Moses, this is – Kevin Zeitler, I can go on Herb, myself. Rose been in the league, 5-6 years now. Never even getting close to that point. You just understand like how fleeting this moment can be, and that you have to take advantage of each and every opportunity. So I think between all of us, letting our young guys know, just because you walked in here as a rookie or second-year guy, these years do not happen sometimes at all for people in their careers, but definitely guys who've been in the league 6-7 years and I made out the first round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So, and having a year like 2019, you would assume that would happen. So, obviously there's no room for assumptions, but each and every day is important. Making sure we're on point for next weekend is the most important thing.
I think that you summed it up really well. When I look at this team, I look at a team that feels like there's a lot of unique pieces that have come together at the right time. Veterans like yourself, and then young players like a Zay Flowers or a Kyle Hamilton who's having a great second season. Like you just have this good mix. You have a great coaching staff here, obviously that teams around the league are now showing interest in. It just seems like not that this is the only window of opportunity, but it is a big one, and that it just seems like there is a real understanding on this team of the opportunity that you guys have in front of you with all those unique pieces coming together?
Certainly. I think I like to think of it as this is the only window of opportunity. You worry about next year. So, like I said, I know that feeling how we felt in 19, just the embarrassment. So, Mr. DaCosta has done a great job of bringing all us together. But if you treat it as this is the only window of opportunity I have, you look at things differently. So, obviously next year everything starts new. Everybody wants to be the number one defense, number one offense. All that crap can wait. But if you treat it, and that's how I've been treating it, that's how our coaches and everybody's been treating it, like this is the one opportunity, especially for this group as it is currently constructed. This is the one opportunity we have. If we waste it, if we don't do what we need to do, that's it.
Right.
So, like I said, obviously the front office worries about next year and all that stuff, but as players, as coaches, you just take it literally for what it is. So this is the one opportunity you get. If you waste it, you waste it. Obviously good games happen, crazy plays happen, but you don't want to have that regret because you may never make it there. And like I said, injuries happen, all kind of crazy stuff can happen between now and next year. But whoever's healthy, whoever can play, you remember the guys who are trying to get back like Mark and all those guys, this is what I fought through, off season, all that pain and stuff from surgery and everything. This is what you fight through stuff for to get to this point. So, you take it like this is the last opportunity you have, and you just worry about the next year's stuff next year.
What's the difference between Lamar in 2019 and Lamar now?
Not a lot, but like I said, I think his game has just matured.
Okay. Also like as a leader kind of.
Yeah. His game has matured. Like I said, he's matured. Like I said, that level of success when it comes at you early, I think he did an amazing job of handling it. Yeah. But like now I think it's like, all right, I've won an MVP. I've done all these things. I expect to play well. It's not, if he's gonna play well, I'm not into the media, but the thing that he drove home, after his contract and all that stuff, when we in the locker room, the only thing he talks about is trying to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I know he said that after the draft. I'm sure if we happen to win that thing, that'll play forever. But that's what he's set the tone for this team. Like, we are trying to win the Super Bowl. Week 1, that's what he said.
Right.
This is week whatever, 20, whatever the case may be. That's where he expects to be. So I think when you take that approach, not only mentally, but just putting in that work every day, good things tend to happen. So, they were making jokes about, he's a running back and all this stuff. You don't really hear that anymore.
Right.
But the point is, he's worked that way since then, before then. He's keep working. But I think I'll say for me, it's just like he's gotten to a point where this is what he expects to do. And he expects us to meet that same intensity, that same work ethic. And, when the head leads the tail, right, everybody seems to fall in line.
Right. And the big difference I see between this team in 2019 too is the defense also. This defense is nasty. Just how much do you feel like this unit is rolling it, and what makes it that, why is this defense peaking right now, if you feel that way? Why is it doing that?
We just got a whole bunch of hungry guys. But like I said, I think we've just literally, not only us, but like I said, Eric DaCosta's done an amazing job crafting this defense. So, I think Kyle, they said, fell in the draft to us. Thankfully he did. But he's playing at an all-pro level. Yeah. 2 linebackers playing at an all-pro level. Meta BK, looking like the second coming of Aaron Donald. JD's having a career year. Kyle's having a career year. Marlon, when he was playing, obviously Marlon's an all-pro when he's healthy. So B. Steve has taken a jump, man. Arthur Millette coming in. I can just go on and on. There's a bunch of guys, and I think I said this in the interview before, when they were asking me about replacing Calais. I said, I don't think you ever, replace a Hall of Famer.
Right.
I'm not a Hall of Famer. I would like to go in the Nose Guard Hall of Fame if they have one. But, like I said, I think we've all done this by committee. And like I said, we've had Super Bowl champions, and Kyle's in our room, and JD's been in the league, and he's been hunting. So we just got a whole bunch of hungry dudes, whole bunch of guys who want to ascend to that next level, wherever they are in that tier. And like I said, it just meshes well together. We play together. It's not just, we need one guy or 2 guys to make a play. Anybody can make a play. Like I said, I don't think any team has a Travis Jones that comes off the bench.
Right, right. Just a freak.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that just doesn't happen everywhere. So,
Yeah.
you know, you look at like an Eagles defense where they had a whole bunch of D linemen. We can do the same thing. It's a different scheme, obviously, but we have like literally waves of people who are hungry to make a name for themselves, but also are conscious enough and, you know, have enough love between each other to play together.
Right.
That's awesome, man.
I have one last question for you. This is a random one. I'm just looking at you. Your thighs, I mean, you have massive thighs. Do you have to specially order pants that can fit over your I'm just looking at you. And I'm like, how does this man shop for pants?
No, man. This is an out-of-date brand. I'm kind of into fashion. So,
Okay.
True Religion makes like the best like stretchy jeans.
Okay,
It's
so
like
everything you buy is
elastane and
stretchy
cotton.
kinda.
Yeah. Like I wear like a 44. It's not like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a 350-pound person, but
Right.
like those pants fit my legs well. I'm comfortable. I'm not like stuck into stuff.
Right.
But, like, you know, most of the guys like athletes in general, like their waists are smaller, and then
Right.
like they train you to have these big legs.
Right.
I enjoy squatting and deadlifting and all the other
Right.
weightlifting.
You're a weightlifter,
things.
right.
Do you still do that in
comes
season
with it.
stuff?
They have done a great job with me of paring some things back and taking some things differently. So I don't power lift as much. I do like Olympic lifting, stuff
Okay.
that'll help you be more explosive. So they changed the way that I looked at weightlifting.
Okay.
And just paired it with better things like snatches and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not just overusing my upper body, overusing my lower body. Scott, Ron, everybody downstairs has done a great job for me, just
Yeah.
kind of changing my mind state,
Okay.
if you will. But no, man, it's been awesome. But like I said, True Religion does a great job for me.
Okay.
If y'all can send me some free jeans, that'd be great.
There you go.
But no, I look for that elastane and cotton mixture that works, like 98 to 2%. So
All right.
you
Well,
go.
if I ever hit
Fashion
the
guy.
weight room, now I know True Religion. If I ever get in there. Well, Mike, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate
it,
it.
Mike.
thank y'all for having
All
me.
right.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thanks to Michael Pierce for stopping by the SeatGeek studio here. We want to give a shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, which is an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. They've got a limited time promo running right now. You don't want to miss this. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use the promo code FLOCK. If you're a new user, you can get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Again, the promo code is FLOCK. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. You need to be at least 21 or older to play and physically present in Maryland.
BGE is all about small businesses being the backbone of Maryland's economy. In partnership with the Baltimore Ravens, BGE is investing in communities across Central Maryland, helping small businesses continue to thrive. Be sure to visit www.bgenow.com to learn more. This week's business is Apple Choice Driving School. They're recognized as a leader in driver's education and the right choice for students in Glen Burnie and Pasadena by committing to not only teach driving, but keeping their students safe and confident.
I think that you should go ahead
I was
and
just going to make this for you.
Can they do a little tune-up for you? I've seen you drive around these farts. There's actually, we could do another podcast about a lot of people in the building who have issues with your driving, but we'll save that for another episode. We'll save that.
We'll save that.
So
they could probably help me out a little bit.
yeah, you can be due for a tune-up down there. Go visit them. Look, I thought Mike Pierce was great. I mean, this is a guy who I really like. I think that I've liked him since the time he was here as an undrafted free agent, and his career has been up and down, to be honest. He gets the contract in Minnesota, then he sits out a COVID year, then he basically gets hurt and never really plays much in Minnesota. Comes back looking good last year, gets hurt, and it's starting to be like, is this it? Is this it? And he was kind of wondering the same thing to a certain extent. And to see him play all 17 games, I'm really happy for him. Get the contract extension. He's a really good player, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, for sure. When Michael Pierce is on the field and healthy and feeling good, he's one of the best nose tackles in the game. To his point, like if there's nose tackle
Hall of Fame, baby.
Right? Like, I mean, if he'd been healthy his whole career, he'd be in that nose tackle Hall of Fame. Maybe he has another couple great years and whatever, But he's one of the best in the game. There's no doubt about it. And he's part of the reason why the Ravens run defense and why the defense as a whole has been so good.
Yeah, and like I asked him about it, but I do think that his presence in the middle, gobbling up blockers, allows Roquan Patrick Queen to fly all over the place, Justin Madubuike to get more one-on-ones, to get after the quarterback. I think that his work is definitely noticed by the success of the players around him.
Yeah, and when you have seen the Ravens run defense get hit a little bit, it's primarily been big plays on the edges.
Yeah.
Teams do not run up the middle, generally speaking, on the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm sure during this week, during the bye week, they're doing basically a self-scout, right? That's what this team is doing because you don't have an opponent. You don't know who you're going to play, so you can't start scouting them. I'm sure the defense is focused on, hey, let's tighten up the screws on the run D because that's kind of been the one Achilles heel.
Well, Patrick Green basically said that yesterday in the locker room. He made the point that there's been a few things that have happened at the end of the season that they're not pleased with defensively, despite finishing with the triple crown in terms of points, takeaways, and sacks. There's still things that this defense wants to improve on, and I think that he didn't spell it out, but I think he's talking about giving up too many yards on the ground. This defense doesn't want to give up many yards on the ground. The Steelers put up some big numbers on the ground.
Especially if the Steelers end up being the divisional opponent.
Yeah, they've had... Even before that game, there's been some weeks where they've just allowed too much on the ground, and this defense doesn't want to give up anything. They definitely don't want to give up 100+ yards on the ground. So I think they're working on those things this week.
Yeah, for sure. Well, looking at the big news of the week for the Ravens and around the league, it's been coaching changes. Right, the past 24 hours as of recording this have been massive in terms of the business of coaching, and you have Coach Saban. Nick Saban is out. Pete Carroll out with the Seahawks. Now Bill Belichick in the Patriots part ways. That's been massive. There's 8 openings right now around the NFL for head coaches. And the Ravens have some hot coordinators, and not just coordinators, other assistant coaches. So going through the list here, the teams that are interested in talking to Mike Macdonald are the Commanders, the Panthers, and the Titans. Okay, then you also have Todd Monken with 2 interview requests. That's the Chargers and the Panthers. And then Anthony Weaver, the Ravens D-line coach and also
assistant head coach.
The Commanders, and now also the Falcons.
Yep.
It's hard to keep them all straight here.
It is. And honestly, and all those happened before the Seahawks job and the Patriots job opened up, so they could add a couple more to their list. I know there's a lot of consternation out there amongst Ravens fans.
Good word, consternation.
Yes, because this is a great coaching staff. Got great coordinators. You have great assistant coaches. I think that this is as good as any staff that John Harbaugh has assembled here. Yeah. And when you have a great staff, other teams take notice. And when you win a lot of games and you're the number 1 seed, teams take notice.
When you're the best team in the NFL, people want a piece of that action.
When you look at who's gotten head coaching jobs over the last few years, it's been from teams that have had success. And that's how that works. That's how it works in the history of football. So when you win a lot of games, other teams take notice and they want to emulate that. And that's what's happening with the Ravens. And I think that they've got a great mix of coaches, of a veteran coach like Todd Monken, who's done it at the pro level, the college level, had a ton of success the last few years, 2 straight national championships at Georgia, then obviously comes here and helps Lamar going to win a second MVP. So, look, I know there's nervousness. I don't know how it's going to play out. You root for the guys to get opportunities, certainly. These are great coaches who deserve opportunities. And you also want to maintain the great thing that you've got going here. So it's like you root for both. It's kind of that crazy situation for that, Mike Pierce talked about a little bit. Like, I love Mike Macdonald.
Right. Selfishly, you want him to stay.
Selfishly, you want him to stay.
Selfishly, you don't want them to get the job.
Yeah.
But you're, of course, happy for them. And look, 8 head coaching vacancies right now. That's a quarter of the league.
Yeah.
The more that open up, the more nervous that I get.
Yeah.
Obviously. But some of that, there's going to be coaches who land, coaches that lost their head coaching job who land elsewhere as a head coach.
Yeah, they just hop on the carousel. Yep.
Exactly. They land somewhere else. That's going to fill some of them. And then there's other, Baltimore's not the only team that is having a lot of assistant coaches. Detroit as well. There's other hot names. Bobby Slowick from the Texans is another big name. There's a bunch of them, right? And so will the Ravens coordinators and Anthony Weaver land one of those? I don't know. They'll definitely have a good shot, it seems like, but it's not a slam dunk. So let's not freak out. Sky isn't falling yet. And I will say this about it. The further the Ravens go, the better their chances, I think, of keeping these coordinators. It could go both ways.
I don't know if I agree with that. Look what happened to the Eagles last year.
Well, yeah, but traditionally a lot of those hires are made. Now, some teams are patient and they wait out the process, but a lot of teams get antsy. So it depends on how quick some of these other vacancies start filling up.
Yeah.
Teams do not like waiting around unless they know they got their guy.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways. You win the Super Bowl, all of a sudden now that just adds to your credentials,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some teams might be willing to wait out the process to get whatever. They have a specific guy, but if they have a specific guy and it's not one of the Ravens coordinators that they really, really like, they're going to make a move.
Yeah.
Right? If it's up in the air, because they're not going to want somebody else to steal their guy. So sometimes it can work in your benefit that coach is not available to hire officially until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't think that the getting to the Super Bowl will have much of an impact if the Ravens get there on the coaching carousel and whether these guys end up getting hired. I just don't think that the Eagles lost both coordinators last year.
The Eagles, right. That's recency bias, though. There's teams, I mean, the Patriots held their coordinators for a long, long time, and those guys got passed over. Now, maybe not because of that, maybe whatever.
Yeah.
But there, you go back before last year, yes, the Eagles did.
But the Patriots
before
lost a ton of coordinators,
there's
too.
been a lot of teams who have not lost coordinators off Super Bowl teams.
The Patriots lost a ton. They lost Josh McDaniels twice. They lost Charlie Weiss way back in the day. Lost Bill O'Brien. Like, I what years those happened in the coaching search. Like, I don't know. There's been the Chiefs. They lost Nagy. He came back.
Well, Bieniemy sat out there for a long time.
But he also has
still
interviewed
head coaching.
Right, exactly. So I don't know where it's going to land, but I think that it clearly speaks to the quality of the Ravens coaching staff. And I also, if the Ravens end up losing coaches, I got a lot of faith in John Harbaugh to fill in with other great coaches. I mean, he built a great staff.
He's very good at doing that. And I'll say this also, just for those fans who are wondering how this process works, those coaching interviews do not happen basically on company time.
Mm-hmm.
It happens on personal time, is basically what John Harbaugh said. It's late at night, might be weekends. That's kind of when they knock that stuff out. So, and this is just part of, like we said, this is how it works, right? So there's no are they locked in? Are they focused? Yes, they're doing their job first and foremost. Don't worry about that. This kind of stuff is just part of the business.
Yeah, totally. And as I said, when you have success, other teams around the league want a piece of that.
Yep.
And so the other news this week, so the Ravens are practicing. We kind of laid out the practice schedule in the podcast earlier this week, but they're practicing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Practice on Saturday is at the stadium to kind of simulate game atmosphere of you're going down to the stadium, you go to the game on the weekend.
Just keeping a routine.
Keeping a routine. And so they're focused on themselves this week from a self-scouting process and working on those things like we talked about. All right, so the other news this week is on the injury front. And so the Ravens are practicing, as we said, some guys who are back on the practice field, which was encouraging. Kyle Hamilton, I think, at the top of that list. He's somebody who missed time, is dealing with that knee injury. He talked with the media on Wednesday. Was the media good guy? He got the Media Good Guy Award.
He is a good guy.
So that's the top award for him. That's the honor that he cares about the most this year. But so he was back, and he said to reporters that he was basically a full participant. So really encouraging to have him back. Yep. Kevin Zeitler was back. Geno Stone was back.
And Devin Duvernay.
Thank you. Devin Duvernay was designated for return from injured reserve from the back injury. Now, the Ravens got a good thing going with Tylan Wallace and Justice Hill, the two returners who have stepped into that role. But Devin's also a good player, can fill a role on offense. So I think whether the Ravens activate him will depend, A, on his health, how he feels getting back into the swing of things, and then also what they want to do from a roster composition standpoint.
Right. If they have an open roster spot, then they certainly could do that. Also, if they do that, then they can bring back one more player from IR. You can only do it 8 times in a season. You would think that one last player that would be saved for the big dog, Mark Andrews. You talked about players who returned to practice. I'll be the bad cop here.
Okay.
The players that were not back out there, Zay Flowers at the top of that list. And then also the Ravens are still missing Odafe Owe, who went down with an ankle injury in that season finale, the regular season finale. Delshon Phillips and Malik Harrison also were not out there at practice.
And Marlon Humphrey too.
And Marlon Humphrey, yes. Yeah. Sorry. He was working out on the side, not in uniform, not practicing, but he was out on the field, technically speaking.
Yeah, so look.
And Dalvin Cook made his debut. We forgot him.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook in his first practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, there's excitement about Dalvin Cook. I think that there's going to be an opportunity for him. I mean, John Harbaugh talked this week about how he'll have a chance. I think that
be a legitimate weapon.
Yeah, and the question was posed to him basically, is this just a insurance play? And he was kind of like, no, this is a really good player who could make an impact for our team.
Yeah.
So he's on the practice squad right now, but he has 3 game day elevations available coming up from the practice squad. So if the Ravens
only got to win 3, baby.
Keep rolling here. That's 3 games.
Divisional championship, Super Bowl.
So I think that there's potential for Dalvin Cook to I don't know. Who knows? He could step in and make an immediate impact on this offense. He has that type of ability.
I think he certainly could. So exciting things for sure. Now we wait and see who the Ravens are going to play. Before we do that, Garrett, you want to make some picks here?
Yeah.
Who do you think is winning on Wild Card Weekend?
Well, let's go through you want to go through the AFC teams, and then we can predict who, obviously, the Ravens would end up playing.
Yes. Okay, Houston Texans, Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
In Houston.
Yeah. I think that the Browns are going to win that game.
Ooh, okay. You think Joe Flacco wins?
I do. I think the Browns are playing well. I think that Houston. Look, I actually think it's going to be a pretty close game, and I think that the Browns end up edging them out. I think great defense against a rookie quarterback. They could get their hands on the football. So I think that the Browns win that game. Who do you got?
Browns.
You're also going Browns. All right.
Yeah.
So then let's go to the 3-6 game. That is the Chiefs against the Miami Dolphins in Kansas City, the Ice Bowl, Ice Bowl 2024. It's going to be freezing cold there with temps below zero, probably a kickoff.
No.
So
Below zero?
Below zero. And I've seen wind chills like in the -20. So not exactly ideal for a team coming up from South Florida. I've got the Chiefs winning that game. I think that the weather will be a factor. I also think that, the Chiefs have struggled, but we've seen this from them before. They weren't exactly rolling at the end of last season. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. So I've got the Chiefs winning that game.
Ditto. I'm glad that those two teams are playing each other because I think those are two really talented teams and one of them's got to go. So I'm happy with either way that result goes. If Patty Mahomes is out of the playoffs,
you're okay with that.
Bon voyage, buddy.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm good with that result.
All right, and then the finale in the AFC, which is Sunday afternoon, is Buffalo against the Steelers.
Oh, are we going to agree on all three of these? I don't like where this is going.
That just means it's not going to play out that way. But if we do agree, I think that Buffalo is going to beat the Steelers.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I do think that that's a closer game than it would seem on paper. I think that it's supposed to be super windy. Again, another game with the elements. Cold, really, really windy. Now, Josh Allen has played in that. It reminds me of the playoff game the Ravens played up in Buffalo here a few years ago. The win that night was just wild.
Yeah.
It made for a crazy game. Crazy weather can sometimes level the playing field.
Totally.
And so I think the Steelers are a team that has run the ball. It wouldn't shock me if Mason Rudolph throws the ball less than 10 times.
Yeah, if the forecast ends up coming true and they end up being 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it's
the Steelers are not going to throw the ball.
Well, that's the thing is, honestly, if that is the weather, like that can be an equalizer, especially against Buffalo's passing attack.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case,
now, Buffalo can run the ball better than they have in previous years.
But that's the classic game that the Steelers end up winning.
Exactly.
Are we talking ourselves into a Steelers win here? Like that.
I do think it's going to be a close game.
All right, so
I don't think that's
straddle
a runaway.
the fence there. Just pick two winners for that game. It's going to be the Bills or the Steelers.
It's a tie.
Yeah, it's a tie. So we both agreed, which would mean that if it plays out the way that we think it would, that means
coming to
Joe
town.
Flacco and the Browns come to town in the divisional round. So I honestly, the one I feel the least confident in my picks on is that game. I feel the least confident in the Browns-Texans game. I think that could go either way. And I think that Texas team is really talented.
Yeah, I think so. And then obviously, if the Texans win that game and it's chalk, then the Ravens would face the Houston Texans here at M&T Bank Stadium. So,
all right, now before you do that, the last thing we got to do before we wrap up.
Oh, the dog
is the dog.
The dog.
You can't get by this week without giving out our dog of the week for Week 18 against the Steelers. So you got to bring in your little poster board here.
This is an interesting one.
Okay. The rain was the dog.
The rain was. The rain really earned it. Nah, we're giving it to Trenton Simpson.
I like it.
Possible preview of the future. Trenton Simpson getting extensive defensive action and really played well. So, there you go. The rookie dog of the week. The first rookie since Zay Flowers.
All right. Well, congratulations to Trenton.
Yep.
Enjoy, everybody, watching the games this weekend.
This is one of the best weekends of the year.
I know that there's
especially when you're not playing.
Exactly. There's nervousness because, we're all antsy. Lamar said he's antsy to play.
Yep.
You know what? Sit back, relax. Ravens earned this first round bye. Enjoy watching these games. Have fun, and we'll see who the Ravens end up playing after the games this weekend. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with you next week.